This week, Cherry Creek School District settled with 5 students who were sexually abused by a teacher. The students will split $11.5 million, $9.5 which will be covered by taxpayers. The rest will be covered by an insurance company. It is the largest settlement recorded in the district's recorded history. 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor is back joining us now in studio. He brought the attorney representing the students in with him this morning. Thanks so much both for being here.
Sure. So this is a real pleasure to have this guest with us. This is Qusair Mohamedbhai, an excellent attorney, a civil rights attorney, and you may have heard about him and his firm. They've received multiple big size verdicts on these civil rights claims, and in this case, Qusair and the firm were representing the families of the victims of those students who were, essentially there were 5 students who were sexually assaulted in one way or another over a 4-year time period by the middle school teacher. And so there was a civil and a criminal component to it, and you were involved to some degree on both. Can you kind of explain how those two work?
Right, so we represented the 5 survivors in the criminal process in Arapahoe County District Court, through George Rockler's office, and we also represented them in the potential civil rights lawsuit against Cherry Creek School District.
Okay.
So $11.5 million is part of this settlement to the 5 survivors, as you mentioned, but are there any other conditions that are imposed on the district as well?
Yes, well, to Cherry Creek School District's credit, they really got ahead of this. They made substantial policy changes and really looked to beef up their mandatory reporting policies and practices. The superintendent met with every one of the girls individually, just expressed his absolute sincere apologies for what happened, promised them that they would ensure that this would not happen again to the best of their abilities.
And this settlement is huge and obviously making noise. People can see that this is a big one. Do you think the settlement will impact how other school districts in Colorado handle reports of sex abuse in the future?
Right, my clients, one of the main goals they had was to ensure that this didn't happen in Cherry Creek and our state at large. And Superintendent Siegfried has assured us that he is speaking with other superintendents from the Denver metro area, from Aurora Public Schools, Denver Public Schools, because they've put in a lot of work to try to revamp their policies. They want to become over-reporting, to involve law enforcement earlier, to use law enforcement expertise on these very delicate issues of interviewing child sex assault victims.
Part of the problem was that one of the survivors here reported it, in 2013, right? And then they actually wanted her to recant it, and then she was suspended, and they're saying that this is not okay. This happened years ago, and so now we need to report it and kind of go through the right protocol, right?
Right. So to Cherry Creek's credit, they have admitted their mistakes, and they have committed to learning from them. And from the community's perspective, I think that's what we should expect. Horrible things sometimes happen, and the response of our leaders is, what do we learn from this? How do we move forward, and how do we prevent these harms? And Cherry Creek has really stepped up to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. How are the girls today?
Not well. They range. It's been a very difficult journey. This has certainly triggered them to relive these. This afternoon, Mr. Vasquez is going to be sentenced, where he's going to spend likely the rest of his life in prison, and this has just been a very difficult time for them, but they've been incredibly brave, incredibly strong, and we should just all be inspired by how powerful these young women have been to get through this.
Yeah. So again, Vasquez is the gentleman that's involved in this, and he is going to be sentenced today at 2 o'clock. We are going to be in the courtroom today. Anusha Roy will be in there, so we'll be able to bring everyone the update on that.
We certainly appreciate you both coming in. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Yeah,
so just a question with respect to reporting requirements. What are they in Colorado if somebody suspects that something's happening with a child in school? What should they do?
Right. Well, one of the things is that we all, as members of this community, are mandatory reporters of suspected child abuse. Certainly professionals like teachers, social workers, nurses have a heightened and additional responsibilities. But it's quite simple. Our laws are extraordinarily clear. It's just, if you suspect child abuse, report it to law enforcement. That is our duty, all of us in this community. And as long as we adhere to that basic principle of not trying to get to the issues ourselves, not investigate ourselves, but simply turn it over to the professionals, we comply with our mandatory reporting obligations.
Yeah. Well, thank you both. Really do appreciate you coming in. And again, we'll have that update for you on the sentencing that's happening at 2 o'clock today on 9 News.